It's break time! Hey everyone, welcome to our break room. We have the lovely Rissy Ray
Hey, hey.
and myself, Kaninja. Here we are, coffee in hand, and ready for today's topic. Mental health. So, Rissy, what is your experience with different types of mental health? Like, tell me about what you deal with and kind of the hardships that you may have, or even kind of if you had any, or how it came about. Did you always have it, or so on and so forth?
Sure. I think I agree with everyone where it's just the regular daily stressors. So, for example, being a mom, your job, your friends and your family, those are daily stressors that I believe that everyone deals with. And it doesn't help when other outside factors affect it. For example, um, the economy, the economy, the election, the whatever stuff that's going on, that doesn't help either. Um, and so for me personally, when it comes to mental health, with dealing with all that, I do go to therapy. I
That's
do see a
good.
therapist twice a month. And with seeing my therapist, and like I wanted people to just change the whole dynamics, the stigma of mental health, because I think I'm fine. So, so I'm good. So, but it helps having a different perspective when I do speak with my therapist, kind of letting them know what is going on in my life and what I'm dealing with in my life. That it gives a great, just an outwardly perspective that you may or may not receive when you talk to like a like-minded family member or friend. That's
Yeah.
how I deal with mental health. How do you deal with mental health, Kadinja?
So, see, I love that you go to therapy. And some days I really do wish that I would do the same. I deal with, I'm kind of a back and forth of, yeah, I recognize that I have some items that I need to go through, and then other times I'm like, nah, I'm perfect. No way. Like, that ain't gonna happen. That
Right.
can't happen to me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's hard because there's a lot of stigma around mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Especially whenever, you go up to someone, you're saying, hey, I have anxiety. And then they look at you like, no, you look fine.
Right.
And I just kind of look at them like, well, that's not your decision. So
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
you're not there whenever I'm freaking out, or, to put for lack of better words. So how I deal with it, I have to find like a safe space, I guess you can say. Um, I'm more of a, surprisingly enough, I'm more of an introvert. So being by myself kind of gives me calm. So
Okay.
I have to, yeah, yeah. So I have to know what makes me calm, especially since for me, my type of mental health issue is on the form of anxiety. So if there's a lot of overstimulation, and that could be from anything. That can be from being in a crowd, which is like the typical, but it could also be in, there's a lot on your mind, or there's a lot of expectations people have on you, or just the expectations that you have on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me to be just kind of take a breather, breathing helps. Breathing really, really helps.
Absolutely.
So for me, I just have to find a calm space, kind of a safe space for myself. Um, Sometimes I draw, sometimes I dance, other times I just kind of breathe, and I just kind of be on my favorite spot on my couch, and I just either look at the phone, or I just watch some TV, I watch some anime, you know, or something along those lines, or even take a shower, just to breathe. So that's why I kind of, when you say you go to therapy, I kind of wish sometimes I did that, because even though finding the calm that I do,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I'm in an overstimulating situation and it gets too much and I can't find that calm, I end up or I end up doing something that could be detrimental to either myself or hurting others, like emotionally or mentally, you know, because other people may not understand. Even when you try to have them understand or talk to them about it, they may not still understand.
Absolutely. And I know that some people, there's a difference. Like, it's like what there's anxiety, right? And then there's the part where it's debilitating, where it is affecting your day to day. I just watched a South Park episode, and it was one of the characters saying that he had anxiety, and the way he was using was so freely. Obviously, you know, South Park is a it's my show. I love South Park. It takes any issue and flip it, and it does make you think, right? It does make you think, like how they're making fun of a certain issue or several issues in one episode. And one of the characters was like, "Oh, I have anxiety," and one of the characters respond back like, "Everyone has anxiety." So, and so in the midst of all that, it's like he's like, "Oh, everyone has it." Well, yeah, to a certain degree, yes, everyone has some type of anxiousness, right? It's the point where when you need, but hey, sometimes you need that moment. Yeah. You definitely need that moment where it's like, okay, well, everybody has it. Yeah, but then there's levels to it.
Yeah.
Where I had a moment as well where I'm over here having a panic attack. And I didn't know what was going on, what was happening, but slowly kind of saying a mantra to yourself, that helped me with my panic attack, because I was like, it was a lot going on. And so that's the debilitating part of when you're dealing with anxiety and mental health, that yes, everyone deals with certain things, but then there's that level where, hey, you need to take like extra steps. I'll say this: you got to take a little extra self care.
Exactly.
Than just I'm just gonna, you know, do something off the cuff. Like, I've met people who can work days straight. Like, just, you go to work every day? Yeah, I go to work every day. And I'm like, you're good? Oh yeah, I'm absolutely fine. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So if I could get off work early, please. Or, you know, as soon as, you know, if your supervisor's like, hey, so some people can leave, some people can stay. Okay, thank you.
I volunteer as tributes. Happily.
Exactly. So like I said, it's the extra stuff. So I think I have noticed there's a lot more conversations in regards to mental health. I have noticed, I don't know, you know how they say that Facebook is always listening. So I was on Facebook and I saw an ad about how you can see a therapist online.
I did see that ad too.
Oh.
Honestly, I thought it was just like on those random ads that's like, oh, you know, install this app and then, you know, pay $50. So
It was straight information about just, hey, you can see a therapist online, you can choose your therapist. Well, you can choose your therapist. Oh, okay, cool. So I give you like different options where it's there, because it's recognizing how mental health really is a thing. It's not something that's made up, that doesn't exist. Mental health is very, very serious. It affects other, you know, facets of your life. And I think slowly but surely the collective, the population is going to be where, hey, if I go to therapy once a month, oh, okay, have fun. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's going on with you.
It's totally accepting. It's I mean, I know for me, I don't know how many times I tell you that, like, I'm so proud of you for doing that, you know. So seeking out help where you feel like you need it is always the best route. And recognizing that if you need help or another opinion or something along those lines is the biggest step. Because I don't know, like, so many times I could be telling people, like I mentioned before, like, they just don't believe me, or they'll say, like the South Park episode, everyone has it. So you're not special. So I don't want to be special. I don't want this. So definitely reaching out to what could help you, especially if it is debilitating. Like you mentioned with a panic attack, that's scary. That is scary stuff. And some people have that more often than not. And for another person to be like, well, everyone has that. No, no, everyone does not have that. And that's something that other people need to recognize too, because if you do come up to someone and you're confiding in them and they react in a way that's disregarding how you're feeling, then they're less apt to actually reach out for help.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you had people, like I guess, Rissy, if you had people that were kind of denying your thought process, saying, no, like you don't have a problem. Yeah, everyone goes through it. You don't need help. Would you have still gone to a therapist as easily as you did? I don't know if it's easily, but as quickly as you did.
No, absolutely not. Because I'll feel more like, okay, like I need it, but you guys are saying this to me. Like my corner is telling me this, so I'm like, versus just like go.
Exactly.
So
And
I guess, but I do like that you pointed out that, hey, I suffer from anxiety. These are the things that I do when I'm having a moment.
mm-hmm.
Which I'll remember the next time when I call you and you don't answer my phone call.
Another topic. Friendships.
But yeah, it's just like just having a moment to yourself, because before I can't deal with a lot of people at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely raises my anxiety, being around too many people at one time. That's why I go to the grocery store as early as I do.
I don't blame you.
Or I use Prime now.
Stay inside the house.
Oh yes, yes, exactly. I stay in the house. I'm like, oh, it's 11, 12 o'clock. Oh, no way.
Oh, no way.
Staying right inside this house. Amazon Prime now. I don't care. I'm just gonna do it. And all that fun stuff. So yeah, I think when it comes to mental health, that there should be more information. There should hopefully the stigma can be lifted. Because I definitely was talking to someone earlier last week that about therapy, like just personally going to therapy for their goals and everything, and they proceeded to tell me that they're gonna judge me. I'm like, huh? Wait, hold on. So they're gonna judge you? That's all you're taking out of the fact of therapy and some of the awesome benefits that you have, is that they're gonna judge you?
Oh, wow.
Right. I was like, what the world? And they explained to me their thought process after, but at first it was like, what? What you mean? They're gonna judge you.
Right. And it's like, but what about the other benefits? Like, what about the benefits you can get? Like, who's going to be judging you to try to find help? And if those people are judging you because you're trying to find help, then should you be really associating yourself with those people?
Right.
Is another question you should be asking yourself. My fiance, he has depression. And so, and he's so open about it. And it's hard for me because I don't really say that I don't have depression.
Gotcha.
And it's hard for me to understand that. So I like to find positives in everything. And yeah, and every now and then I do have like my sad days where I'm just sad and there's no reason why. But like it's very few and far between that happens. So it's like, for me, it's not really debilitating. So, but for him, luckily it's been getting better, but
Awesome.
but for in the beginning, it was so hard for me to understand how to handle him when he's at his lowest. And there's no reason why he's at his lowest. And I think that's the hardest part for someone on the other side. Not for the person who's dealing with the mental health, but for someone who's trying to help someone who has mental health issues.
Right.
You know? So it's just like, I was at a total loss because I was just like, well, tell me what's going on. And he's just like, there's nothing going on. I just, feel down. I just feel like everything's hopeless. I feel like this or that. And I'm like, well, then what can I do to help?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you're telling me that I can't do anything to help someone that I love through a tough time that they're going through. And I have to continuously remind myself that it's literally a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's not something like, here, I'm going to bake you a cake and you'll feel better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to take you to a festival and you'll feel better. Or I'll tell you all the great compliments. You're great. You're smart. All that stuff. And you feel better. No. You can do all the things, positive things, but they can still not feel better. And that's hard. And it's hard for me to imagine how it is if I did have depression like that. I know how it is. Like, I'm a blue moon, and I don't even want to imagine how it is past that. I guess you can say. So it's interesting because it's when you don't understand someone's mental health issue, you may be hurting them more than helping them, but kind of just being there for them is all the help you really need, or help they really need.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to build bridges or move houses or move mountains, because all they really need to know is that you're there for them, and you're there whenever they need you. I mean, what do you think, Rissy?
I think so. That even if with mental health, for me anyway, knowing that I do have people to call, very close confidants that I can call and express what I'm dealing with and not feel judged, which I'm like, oh my goodness, oh Lord. That person told me that. I'm like, people judge you all the time. What you talking about? At least they're gonna. You want to use the word judge? They're gonna help you,
right? Right.
Help you. But a support system.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, especially since the phrase of unprecedented times is going on here.
Yeah.
That a support system is where it's at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, what do you think about in the workplace? As in, how do you think companies or jobs really help or hinder, mental health issues?
To me, how do I feel about it? I think a lot of companies already have in place a lot of like office. We've given you all this information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whatever you choose to do with it, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really, it is reminded, I feel like a lot of companies already have certain benefits for mental health, like be it's just something on the side, or in addition to their already, their benefits already at no additional cost. It's just now I feel like more they're pushing it more. It's just change of climate and everything that they're like, hey, we have these benefits. There's benefits, okay, that's out there for you. So I feel like they do have it. It's just, and I know right now it's pushed more for companies that already do have that benefit to kind of push, like, remind,
right,
remind the employees now. I don't feel like it was prior to. A lot of everything was kind of like, more or less normal. It was kind of like, hey, if you want it, it's here, it type deal. But now it's more like, hey, as a reminder, you do have these benefits. I have seen that.
Right.
Personally. What about you?
So I definitely agree with you when it comes to orientation and saying like these are the benefits that you have. You do have a certain amount of counseling or so on and so forth, but they don't really get into the importance of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know your mental health is directly proportioned to your productivity at work.
Absolutely.
If you're not feeling, if you're having one of your, let's say, if you're having a panic attack, you're not going to be able to work. If you're having another situation where you're in one of your down days, it's going to be so hard for you to focus. Every now and then, I see companies advertising it more, like you said now, but because of the situation at hand, I mean, COVID. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like if it was just more open and more recognized that the company is there for you, I think that people would take advantage of those benefits. Because to be honest with you, a lot of those times, like no matter what company I'm in, I forget about those extra benefits,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, that's right, that is available for us. How do I sign up?
Mm-hmm.
And so of course you can definitely call to your HR team or so on and so forth, but like I feel like if it was mentioned more and not, I don't want to say that companies treat it as taboo, but I feel like if it was just mentioned more and more open, people would be utilizing those services more. And in turn, having more productivity and probably even better quality on their work. So, I mean, I'm happy that they're looking at it with the mental health issues and the benefits that they have in this time, in this day and age. Well, really in this period, unprecedented times.
Yeah.
I'm happy they're doing that, but I just hope that they continue doing that after the fact.
Right.
I mean, even these changes, this times, and I know in one of our future topics we'll be talking about COVID and quarantine, but these times will, definitely have a long-lasting effect on us, and hopefully that will just lift the stigma a little bit more, saying the company saying we're here for you instead of saying just do your work.
Mm-hmm.
And at least like the companies I have, they've gotten I've had a really good company. I'm in a really good company where they do say, I'm here for you. And I do have coworkers around me to talk about that, but it's just not as advertised, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess at this point, I think it is a great time for us to refill our coffee cups and or reheat our coffee cups, and maybe I could talk a little bit better and pronounce my words a little bit better
You're
as well.
fine.
And so get some tea, get some coffee. We'll be right back, and we'll continue talking about mental health and everything else that kind of goes along with it. And we'll be back. All right, so we're back. I reheated my coffee. Rissy, did you get any tea or coffee?
Oh, absolutely. Without hesitation. So I definitely got my tea. I'm trying to not do sugar, but I mean, honey is to me is sugar. But anyway, I felt fancy. Got my tea.
Speaking of honey, I
Uh-oh.
know we're supposed to be on a topic, but speaking of honey, have you ever put honey in coffee?
No.
So I thought it was the craziest idea. And then I was like, you know what? F it. Let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I put honey in my coffee now. And it tastes a little bit like the creamer, but it's not as sugary. Like you still get a little bit of sweetness.
Ooh.
Yeah, and especially if you have a different flavors of honey. You know me how I am with my honey. I have like my own drawer of honey.
Mm-hmm.
And so um I right now I'm drinking peppermint coffee, and I was just thinking I actually have a chocolate honey, like a whipped chocolate honey. Could you imagine putting the whipped chocolate honey in your peppermint coffee?
Oh
Be
my
almost
goodness.
like a peppermint mocha.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do
Send,
that next time.
yeah, send a picture so everyone can see what we're talking about.
Exactly. All
Okay.
you'll see is just black honey, but I mean black coffee. But I'll send a picture of the honey I got. I think it's
Okay.
we'll do some a little bit of advertisement too because I also love honey.
Mhm.
Anyway, so kind of going back onto the topic of mental health, let's talk about triggers. So we already talked a little bit about some triggers that you and I have when it comes to overstimulation, especially when it comes to crowds or being just having a lot of people talking to you, a lot of expectations. But let's talk a little bit more like specifics. Do you have any particular triggers that you've experienced in the past that kind of triggered whether a panic attack or more like I don't know what the right words is for kind of a kind of a down day when it comes to depression. Do you have any triggers when it comes to that?
Yes, and this is the crazy part. I just recently found that out. I get panic attacks when too many good things are happening to me. That's crazy, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah. Like if it's like so when I had my series, so I was having a series of panic attacks, and I'm trying to figure out like where is this coming from? You know, I'm I'm a Google expert. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm not really getting, I guess, the answer I want. Like figure out, like I want to know. I just noticed that when I'm in the midst of like some of the good things, I had a lot of great things happen to me at one time.
Mm,
And I know in the climate that we're in and everything, that's not everyone's story, but it definitely was mine for this year.
good.
It was just yeah, it was going up and up and up. And for me, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, so when's the bad thing gonna happen?
Mm,
Right? And
mm,
so I was like, okay, this is happening. Great. This happened. Great. And I'm like, so what? Like, so nothing okay? Like, it's
almost,
weird.
yeah, almost like you're in a horror movie and you like the suspense music turns on and you're just waiting for that monster to pop out and it still doesn't pop out.
Right. Like I'm I was at the grocery store and I'm just like, I put my card in, like how you usually, pay for your groceries.
Hmm.
And it's like, I haven't had issues with my card because I've been working on my finances. You know how that be. And, so,
Totally.
and so like I didn't check my balance before I paid, and I was like, oh my goodness, like as I'm putting it, paying for it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't even check to see how much I really could have spent today at the grocery store, and it went approved, like it should have been.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I was like, I was getting hot, a little bit sweaty
Gotcha.
about that, when I was fully aware that, I was fully aware that I did have enough funds to pay for my groceries and more. But for whatever reason, I was like, this is it. This is it. I'm gonna put my card in, it's gonna say declined, and then I have to figure out, I can call bank, and
Right.
don't sold all my money. Approved. Okay. So that's not it. Okay. Um,
Right.
Go in the grocery store, after I get my groceries, go home, pack them up. I'm missing something from the grocery store. Oh my goodness, the person didn't give me all my bags. It's there.
Mm,
I'm like, oh, okay. And so it's like I was preparing myself for like that bad thing, majorly bad thing to happen to me, and it never happened. And my body was like hot, very hot. My breathing, and I've never had breathing issues or anything like that. So I was like, I'm like, what the world? And that's what that was my trigger. Just like when there's too many good things happening to me, like everything is going too smoothly. That's the word for it.
right.
It's just going too smoothly. Like no life is happening. It's just so smooth. Like this happened, it worked out, no issues. So
Right.
that
And
was
you know what's yeah, exactly. And it's interesting how it's come to that point where you are expecting something bad to happen
mm-hmm.
or anticipating something bad to happen. So it's not that the good things is in my own perspective, what I kind of see, it's not like the good things is what is causing it. it's the expectation that when is this bad thing going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when is this monster going to pop out? I
Right.
don't know. Just do it. Just do it already.
Right. Just come right here. Right.
Get it over with.
Right.
So that's so interesting. You know, and you know, has that happened to you before, where like a lot of, you know, good things have happened, and then you started really trying to anticipate the bad thing to happen, and you end up having a panic attack, or was that the first time that that's happened?
This was my first time really experiencing that,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, when you're younger, when you're young and dumb, you do stuff that sometimes, yeah, the universe, but sometimes it's your fault
Mm-hmm.
type deal, that,
Yeah.
hey, you know, and then you just kind of bounce back and keep moving. It's life. And I guess with me being older, right,
Mm-hmm.
and being more experienced than I was, you know, obviously years ago, that I'm like, okay, what am I going to do, or what is happening? Because this is not how it's supposed to be. There's always supposed to be ups and downs. Like I should be able to do this, and then some hiccup happens. It has to. It's life. So,
Right.
no, prior to all that, no, I've never felt that.
Yeah. That
Never.
is so crazy. I know, you know, I wonder if age, of course, like experiences have something to do with it. I wonder if age
Mm-hmm.
has something to do with it too. I know for me, as I've always had an issue with people being late, and me being on time. Kind of, if I'm on time, I'm late, kind of thing. And a lot of times my anxiety is tied to when it comes to time. And
Mm.
so, yeah, and so when I was younger, it was really bad, to the point where if I am waiting for someone to, let's say, to pick me up or to come over to hang out or whatever the case, um, they would come, like, if they come like 10 minutes late, and if it's like, let's say, we're going to come at 3 o'clock, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and it's 3 o'clock and they're not there, I'm starting to breathe heavily.
Really?
Yeah, and so, and then my heartbeat starts, you know, beating a mile a minute. And so, and it was a lot worse when I was younger. Nowadays, I'm like, you know, time just flies by. I have to do like a mantra in my head, just kind of, it's
Mm.
okay, it's all right. And I've been trying to, which I don't know if this is good, for myself to try to be late as well, kind of
Oh,
push
okay.
myself,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in a different way. But when I was younger, it was to the point where I was crying and freaking out by the front door, staring at the window, waiting for this person to come. And of course, my dad's just like, "What's wrong with you? Everything's fine. It's just a little late." I'm like, "No, no," and I'm literally freaking out. And I don't know why that is the case. Like, it has to, for me, if it's not on time, they're late, and maybe it's tied to a schedule.
Okay.
So I'm also the type of person that I need to prepare myself for things to happen. So, you know, like for you and I, Rissy, we, when we're hanging out with each other or we're planning to hang out, you usually tell me like a week before, "Hey, let's hang out next week."
Right, right,
And
right,
I'm
right.
like, "Okay, cool. I can prepare myself." Again, I'm a little bit of an introvert. I can prepare myself, you know, and we're hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was younger, when that happened and plans change, I didn't know how to handle a change of plans.
Gotcha.
So I didn't know what to do next. So I was freaking out because I was like, um, it wasn't predictable anymore. I had no control.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my anxiety ties to the amount of control I have over a situation. Like even now, like before certain meetings that I have at my job, if I'm like, I'm staring at the clock about 5 minutes before the meeting starts, and I already feel like my heartbeat is starting to elevate. And I'm just like, okay, I have to wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. And so I wait until like a minute before, because I'm on there 5 minutes before, and then other people feel like they have to join because there's like a little notification that says this person started the meeting. Other people join. I'm 5 minutes early, and small talk is hard for me, and I just sound awkward, and then it just goes into a spiral, and then after the meeting, I'm taking a huge breath. I'm like, oh, next one. So, but I think for me, a lot of my triggers has to come through time and control. And that's hard. That's really hard. So I never experienced where, like with your, with your panic attack, your trigger is saying you expect something bad to happen. I guess mine's a little bit on the opposite. I expect people to be on time. And I expect people to do these things, and that is what they said they're going to do, so they should be doing it. And when it doesn't happen, I'm like, I don't know what to do next. Next step's blank.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where my trigger is at. So I think it's interesting how, or a good takeaway from this is that we both have very different triggers when it comes to a panic attack, or when it comes to, any sort of anxiety attack or any sort of bout of mental illness, is that we have different triggers, and you don't really know them when you encounter someone. You don't really know what their triggers could be unless you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, Rissy, you knew for me, I need like a certain amount of time before an event. Like last minute stuff is hard for me.
Right.
So
don't do it. Don't do it.
It's so hard. But a lot of people are so used to doing last minute stuff. They're like, hey, be spontaneous, let's do this. I'm like, but I'm not prepared. And that actually makes it less enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
Than that. So
it does. And I try to be spontaneous. For certain things I can, like certain things.
mm-hmm.
But I'd be like, oh, I want to do this like within hours. And it's a hit and miss. I could do it and I can't do it. But either way, I do understand. So you're like, either way, no, it's a no. You're like, because you're not going to, you haven't had that chance to yourself yet. To do your mantra, get ready, all that good stuff, to be able to go to this environment, location, whatever, and enjoy yourself.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of people don't seem to, it's hard for a lot of people to understand that. Especially like, I know for me, I've met a few people that say like, hey, let's hang out. And it's the same day. I'm like, no, I'm okay. Sometimes I have to fake an excuse, or I have to say, hey, I'm good. A lot of people take that offensively. And they're like, well, you don't want to hang out with me? Like, no, it's not about you. I just need to prepare myself. What do you mean you prepare yourself?
Wow, that sounds like super insensitive.
Right? Like, what do you mean that you have to prepare yourself? Because, like, some people can take that as like, oh, am I that hard to handle or to hang out with? And I was like, no. So I kind of go back to what we said in the beginning, is it's not about them. So it's completely about the person that is dealing with that. And but some people can definitely take that as, am I hard to hang out with? Does it take a lot of effort to hang out with me? I'm like, to be honest, it takes effort to hang out with anybody.
Right. You're going out of your schedule, regardless of who it is. You're going out your schedule, what you usually do, to do something else.
Right. Exactly. So do you have any other triggers that you've experienced?
Those, honestly, that's the most recent that I can think of. And there may have been another, maybe something on top of that, like maybe it was tied to, like multiple things happening at once. I don't know. Where I feel like I was just expecting something bad to happen, and I'm just like, where's it? So the longer I was waiting for something bad, it's going to be even badder or worse, or worse.
Like a buildup of bad.
A big bad. I was like, just come on, hurry up, just I can move on to the next thing.
So did that bad ever happen?
Not in the way I thought it would. I'm thinking, I have my own place. I'm thinking, oh, I'm not able to pay, or we have no food in the house, or my lights gonna be cut off. It was just none of those things. It was just something like, it was bad in a sense, but it wasn't like as much as I was making it like what I was waiting for.
Right. You were waiting for that bad, and it was like, it was bad.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to come on and come over here and whatever. No, it wasn't even that. It was. So I think that was mainly me just waiting for that. So I don't know. I haven't had any issues since then, but I do have maybe moments where I still want to be kept to myself. I think that's why I do a lot of time. I do like my area quiet. So me just watching TV, or me just honestly just me watching TV or looking up a new recipe, something to that effect, is why I like quiet. I don't necessarily need to be around people. It's nice. So it's not like if you were to invite me somewhere, I'm like, oh, more than 2 people? Yep, that's a no for me. No, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. But no. But that's very interesting. I did not know with your triggers, time. Because I was worried about time, but it's not in the sense that it will cause me anxiety. For me, the party's over. So if we're supposed to meet at 5 and you're not here at 5, I'm going home.
See you later.
That's it. And you didn't text me, and you didn't call me. Yeah, I'm going home. I'm going home where it is.
I want to be like that. I want to be like you when I grow up.
But I do understand, like, hey, like, what's going on, like, because there's, especially if it's someone who you're close, like some type of personal relationship, right? So of course, if I'm waiting for you at 5 and I know that you are a certain way about time, and I have not heard from you and it's past 5, yeah, I'm super worried. Like, what is happening? But if it's like a semi-personable coworker, or like something like that, like passerby type deal, then no, I wouldn't be as vested of where you are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's funny, of course it's gotten a lot better since when I was younger, but when it comes to like kind of using, depending on the person, some people, if they're late, I wait like an extra like 20 minutes. I'm like, please don't call me, don't text me, don't show up, because I just want to go home now. I just want to go home.
Absolutely. Like, let me go home, because it's safe, right? Because we keep our home, like, I think that's what, when I went to therapy, when I told him that I was having my panic attack, it was kind of like, I was explaining to him, like, the mantra I was doing to calm myself down, like, center myself. And so he was like, my therapist explained to me how when you center yourself, it can be a number of different ways how you can center yourself. And if you keep your home, which we do, we keep our home a certain way, that's our center. So if we're out and it is going left out there, we're like, hey, I'm going home.
Yep. It's kind of like, I was watching this YouTube, I guess, channel, and it was called Me or the Dog. Ooh. And they were talking about like crates and people like crate training and stuff, and how like on one of the episodes it was just like the crate is the dog, it should be the dog's safe space. If things happen, they should feel safe in the crate. If things happen, we should feel safe in our house.
Right, absolutely.
So I think we're about time. But Rissy, do you have any final thoughts on our topic today?
Sure. So let me get my timer so I can make sure I'm not over my 30 seconds. Okay. So let me go get my watch together, my little stopwatch. So, okay. 1, 2, 3. So this is our first episode. I love it. Mental health is definitely part of the modern family, modern everyone, and that should be something that we as a community population focus on how important it is to our productivity and companies as well. Love this topic. I would love to revisit it another time as well. And that is my 30 seconds.
All right, awesome. If you could do a timer for me, that would be awesome.
Okay, just say go and I'll go.
All right, ready, set, go. Yes, so very happy that this is our first topic. Mental health is something that we need to continuously work on as the person who's dealing with it, but also their peers. So just like a child, it takes a village to help each other out. Maybe what I'd like to talk about in the future is more or less that the emotional intelligence, and that is important when it comes to mental health. And that is my take on that as well.
Boom, you hit it right at 30 seconds.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for spending your break with us. Time to get back to the grind. For some suggestions on what we talk about next time, send us an email at ourbreakroom@gmail.com. See you next time, Breakroom buddies.